Oh, you're live now.
We are live. Look at that.
Congratulations.
So I guess we'll do it vertically, which is kind of cool. Hey, we are coming to you live from Castle Rock, Colorado. And the question we're going to be answering is why is a local city government trying to criminalize compassion, trying to criminalize the outreach of a congregation to its community here? Hi, I'm Stuart Shepard, and this is First Liberty Live. And we are live in a parking lot. And this is on a 54-acre campus, which is the location of a congregation called The Rock here in Castle Rock, Colorado. Been here for decades. And on the back part of the property, the church building's over here. Jared, you want to swing around? This is the back side of the church building. And out here on the back part of the parking lot, they have a couple of RVs set up. And we're going to talk to the pastor, Mike Polhemus, about why these RVs are back here and what the problem is all about. Hi, Mike.
Hi, how are you?
First, let's talk about the good that you're doing. Who gets to stay in these RVs?
The people that are struggling and in need in our community, they're the ones that we actually get to help and bring them into the RVs.
Yeah. So give me some examples of the kinds of people that have been helped out by this ministry.
Oh boy, we had a 61-year-old man who was struggling. He was in his vehicle and all of a sudden ended up the vehicle broke down. He was actually trying to do some Uber Eats type of things and making some money that way. And once his vehicle broke down, it was in the middle of winter. Temperatures were dropping into the negatives,
Yikes.
and so there was the police actually said, "Hey, can you help with this man?" And so we said, "Absolutely." We brought him in, we interviewed him, and set him up. He was a great person, a great candidate. He wanted to get back on his feet. He actually got a job right away. He was working with FedEx.
Yeah.
Put him in for a couple months and walked alongside him. Had some problems with his truck along the way. We helped him fix his truck twice. And also, in the meantime, we were actually driving him back and forth to his FedEx job, so he didn't lose his job.
Yeah.
And within a couple months, he was back on his feet. We had another single mom with a small child, young child, and we were able to get her back on her feet in about 3 weeks. But we always check before we put someone in to make sure that they're a good candidate, that there's someone that is willing to get back on their feet. And but boy, we'll help anyone that's struggling as long as they're willing to get back on their feet.
And to be clear, you have rules that they have to follow if they want to stay back here, and you're pretty
Absolutely.
strict about that.
We're very strict about it. We want to protect our community. We love our community, so we do background checks. We have a contract set up, and so with a lot of expectations on how they're going to do things, what they can and can't do in this community. Um, and as long as they abide by those things, we do daily checks on the RVs to make sure everything is in place and that they're clean and that they're not doing anything they shouldn't do. But as long as they continue to do what we've asked them to do, we promise to help them to get them back on their feet. And we've been able to help so many people.
Many people think of this kind of effort as something that the government does, that city or county government takes care of people. So why would a church need to do that? But you're actually partnering with the local governments to help people out. Sometimes they come to you.
Yeah, we partner with Douglas County. The town of Castle Rock is obviously they're the ones that have told us that we can no longer do this.
Yeah.
But Douglas County, our county, we've partnered with, we've worked with, and the Human Services we've partnered together with single moms and small children to bring them here because this is the only place in Douglas County where we can house a mom and her child together, and so that we don't have to put them into the foster care program. So they see this and we see this as a huge win because we're not separating family, and we're also keeping them in their community.
And just so people understand the full scope of this, there are two RVs back here, and at this point, you have no plans to add any more. This is just it, just to help out on occasion temporarily for people.
Yeah, I think one of the concerns in the community is that we're going to build a homeless community. Um, that was never the intent, and it's not what we're trying to do. We just want to play our small part, and as you can see with the two RVs, we're able to help a couple people, maybe two families at a time, to get back on their feet. And then as one leaves, we're able to bring in another family or another individual to help get them on their feet. But the hope is that this is a collaborative effort of churches working together and then working with our government as well. I think there's such a beautiful synergy that we can create when the county actually and the city works with the churches, and that we work together with a common goal of improving our community and getting people back into society that maybe are just they're hurting or they're struggling or they're just in need right now. They've had a bad week or a bad month or a bad year, but our job as the church is to love them. And let me just say, I think there's a big difference. The county and the city and what they do, what the government does, is they can provide resources and do those things. Um, but it's the church that is really here to love those that are struggling and in need. And it's a command. It's a mandate from the Lord. When you read the Bible, you realize like, oh, this isn't just, it's not optional. This is something that we are commanded to do.
And this, to kind of help people also understand the breadth of this fits into the characteristic nature of the congregation. I took a tour through the building yesterday.
Yeah.
You've got one area that looks like a small grocery store. There are rows and rows and rows stocked with groceries. People come by every Saturday to get food.
Well, it's the first and third Saturdays we have the official distributions.
Okay.
And yeah, we have about 100,000 pounds of food on site. We distribute about 400,000 pounds a year, and we help a lot of families that are in need. Not just in Castle Rock or in our small community here, but all across the state of Colorado. And we also get to help other food banks and just get them on their feet, get them going as well. So, yeah, but again, it's a collaborative effort of all working together. We have other churches come in and they'll help. There's a lot of volunteers needed when you're moving that much food.
Yeah.
We need help, and we always need help. But we love the opportunity we have when those that are in need get to come here. We get to share the love of Jesus with them, and we do that through our actions, through food, through resources, through clothes.
Yeah.
That's
I was
another
going to say,
one.
right across the hall from what again looks like a little grocery store, there is a modest-sized, what most people look at and think it looks like a thrift shop, but it's
Yeah,
basically people can get a bag full of clothes
yeah,
and head out with it.
yeah. They
What
can.
do you call it? It's
We call it the blessing room.
yeah.
And so, yeah, the blessing room has clothes of all ages, from infants all the way up, and it's great, especially if someone's coming in and they want to do an interview. We have a lot of suits. We've got very nice clothes, and we also we look through everything that comes in, and we only leave the best. We want the best in there. So this is not just the leftovers, but we want the nicest things in there for these people, that they actually feel valued and not just kind of like kind of thrown to the side. But we want them to know that we value them and we love them. And so, yeah, we get to bless them with clothes, with food, and then potentially with shelter if needed.
All right. Now I'm going to bring Jeremy Dice in. He's senior counsel with First Liberty Institute, also watches over this kind of thing for First Liberty. And Jeremy, I want to get your update on just the legal status of this. The city challenged and said you can't do that. And First Liberty pushed back. Tell me what happened.
We did. Look, in this country, we don't assume that the government is always correct on these things. And so the Congress has passed a law that supports the First Amendment that forces the government in situations like this to walk through a stepped process of making sure that, number one, they have a compelling reason to say, stop practicing your religion this way. Number two, they have to say that they've done that, they're achieving that mission somehow through the least restrictive means possible if they're substantially burdening the free exercise of religion, which I think they are here. And we've initially filed that lawsuit. We sought a preliminary injunction, and thankfully the judge up in Denver, just a short drive from here, agreed with us this summer and has enjoined the town of Castle Rock from enforcing its zoning laws right now.
Which basically means cut it out.
That's right. They got to. They're the ones that have to cease and desist for the moment,
Yeah.
while the church continues its lawsuit to seek final vindication and a final order.
Now this is in federal court, state court.
This is in federal court.
All right. What's the next step? You mentioned it now. It's going to go back to be considered by the lower court. What happens there? What's next in the process?
Well, for us as lawyers, we're going through that very fun process called discovery. I mean, we're trying to find out what the other side knows. We're exchanging papers. We're doing depositions. We're going to be doing some more briefing and eventually some more argument before the court to bring this case to a final resolution. We've made the allegation here that the town of Castle Rock is really criminalizing compassion. And we want the town of Castle Rock to reconsider its actions in light of the First Amendment, that is, that safeguard of the civil rights to protect this church to not only meet on Sunday mornings, but actually carry their religious beliefs into practice, whether that's through the food pantry, the blessing closet, or these trailers behind us here, to make sure that people can have a place to go when they have nowhere else to go. In fact, they have nowhere else to go anywhere else in this entire county. It's only this church is the only place they have, and they've helped so many so far. I hope they can continue doing so for a long time. And it's important for Castle Rock. It's important for this church. But this is not the only case we have on these issues. We're dealing with these cases down in Arizona, one in Florida, one in Ohio, where town after town after town are using their laws in such a way that it conflicts with the free exercise of religion. And so we need to take a pause, go to court, and have them go through that process to prove that they have to go about this restraint on their free exercise of religion to achieve that compelling reason. If they can prove that, then of course we'll have to waive those rights for that moment. But we're not going to assume that the government is going to be able to do that in every situation.
Yeah. There are many politicians that I've heard say something to the effect of, you should be free to worship. And when you hear that phrase, I cringe a little bit, because what they're saying is you can do whatever you want inside the walls of your church. But that's not what the whole church thing is about, church with a capital C. It's supposed to be working outside the walls of the church. That's exactly what they're doing here.
We're literally outside the church walls right now doing what they have to do. This is what they are compelled to do. And Pastor Mike can go after verse after verse after verse in Scripture that commands people of faith, especially his congregation, to care for those who have nowhere else to go. They have no shelter. That's what this church believes. It's important that this church be permitted to define what their religious beliefs are, and not a bureaucrat sitting in town hall. If we have town hall bureaucrats deciding what our religious beliefs are and how you can exercise them, well, then that's not religious freedom whatsoever. And so that's really what this lawsuit is about, to make sure that the church, that our houses of worship are free to be who they must be before God, so that they can obey man as well.
Right. I want to give you a chance to offer your encouragement to Pastor Mike over here. What would you say to him to let him know it's going to be okay?
Well, I tell you, I think it's a good sign that we've already won this preliminary injunction. That's an incredible threshold to get over. And I think it means good things going forward with the litigation. We win our cases at First Liberty Institute, and I'm confident that at the end of the day, we're going to win this one as well. But it's not so much a word of encouragement from the law side of things. What you and this church are doing here is critical to the care of its community. And it's a delight that I get to stand as a little lawyer. I mean, I'm just a publican. You know, I'm just out here to make sure that you have the freedom to do your religious freedom. I can't do what you do. And so I'm glad that you and your church are doing what it does. I guess I just get to do what I get to do to make sure you do what you do.
Yeah. Mike, what's it been like working with First Liberty so far?
Oh, it's been amazing. As he said, he can't do what I do. I want to say back at you, because there's no way that I could do what they do. And the day that we found out that they were willing to come alongside us and help us with this, to fight this, because we just didn't know what we were going to do. It was we were amazed. We were thankful. We had actually prayed the day before. We said, Lord, we need your help. And he sent First Liberty. And so we've been, it's been a blessing. It's been an amazing journey just to walk together. And ultimately, we just are holding this loosely and saying, Lord, this is in your hands. And the hope is that he gets the glory, no matter what the outcome is. Of course, we'd love to see the outcome being that we get to continue to help those that are hurting and are struggling in our community. But regardless, we know that the Lord is in control, and our job is just to do what he commands us to do, and we're going to continue to love well.
It is our honor to stand alongside you, and we're humbled that we get to represent you in this case, and to just walk through this with you. And we will win. It's going to happen.
I believe so.
Yeah.
And to see the preliminary injunction in place, to where even now we can go back and help those that are struggling. Since the preliminary injunction, we've been able to help another family that was on the street and really struggling. And so without that injunction, without First Liberty stepping in, I don't know where we'd be right now. So we're very thankful for that.
Yeah, we're thankful for the work that you're doing. Again, we're coming to you live from Castle Rock, Colorado. We will keep you updated on this case as it moves ahead and let you know what happens next. If this is the kind of thing that resonates with you, that is something that you care about churches being able to actually reach out to their community without the government telling them to cut it out, would you join with us? Just look for the big red Give button up at the top of the page at firstlibertylive.com. First Liberty is fighting for what matters most.